Guys, this is Jorge Vasquez with Graystone Real Estate. We have my friend Tony here with Wealth Advisors Who Care, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite topic. Am I better than you? Is my product better than yours? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But together we are better.
Together we're like Batman and Robin.
That's correct.
I am Batman. But seriously, what's today's topic, Tony? What are we gonna?
Today's topic is we're going to talk about why combining real estate expertise, which is your expertise, with financial planning, which is my expertise, is a winning combination for a client.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's no way around it. There's no way around it. You can fight it all you want, but it's all about diversification, right? It's all about diversification on your side of things.
Right.
Same here. And we diversify within type of real estate assets.
Correct.
But it's all about the approach. It's not so much you knowing everything about real estate,
No.
Tony. It's not me knowing everything about securities.
Right.
It's bringing a team that
Correct.
could help people make decisions. When you think about it, when people buy their first home, they often don't talk to a financial advisor. It's their biggest decision in their lives,
Right.
but they just they literally make that decision within a few days, get on the contract, sign, and they bought their home.
Right. Right.
They had no clue whether they had they had a lot of they took a lot of risk, right? And I'm very proud that as a first time buyer, a lot of people just go in it without really knowing
Right.
anything about
Sure.
financially,
Right. Right.
and that's just some examples of what people do without the proper advice. What do you think?
Yeah, and then if you take it the next step, those people who not only have their primary home, but now have decided they want to get involved in real estate from an income standpoint, from rental properties. Without going through a financial planning process, they don't know how that fits into their overall financial plan.
One is tied with the other.
Correct.
Sure.
That's right.
Sure.
So, one of the things that I read an article in Forbes
Okay.
magazine not too long ago, and it talked about how my industry needs to evolve. I'm a big believer in a quote that I read not too long ago, and it was called, you need to innovate or you're going to evaporate.
Absolutely.
So a prime example of that is Blockbuster. They never innovated. By
the way, when I was reading the article, because you sent it to me
Yeah.
a few days ago, that really hurt me directly. You know why?
Why?
Because I used to own a bunch of stock
In
from
Blockbuster.
when it was $22.
Yeah.
Then I just saw it.
Yeah.
Before I sold it, it was 50 cents.
Yeah. But then you got Redbox that came along,
Yeah.
and then you got Netflix that came along.
That's so crazy how fast that
And that was
happened.
very
back to
fast.
back to back.
Very,
Yeah.
very fast. So what's happening in my industry is the fact that real estate has become an important component of a client's portfolio.
Mhm.
The reason why I'm a big believer in real estate is, first of all, I own some real estate myself, but my prior firm before starting my own company was a big institution, been around for 100 years, I won't give the name, but basically they provide pensions for university professors and been doing it for 100 years. So I got to learn, how are they able to do this? Well, I found out that they don't just invest in traditional asset classes, stocks, bonds, and cash. Their general account, which supports these pensions, they invest in real estate, both commercial, residential. They invest in land.
Absolutely.
They invest in
Absolutely.
timber. So, when you had the big downturn in 2008 with the stock market, they weren't really hit too much because they didn't just have stocks, bonds, and cash. They had commodities, they had timber, real estate. And so now what you've seen in my industry is because of technology and because of access to capital now. In the past, commercial real estate and rental properties were only really available to the very, very wealthy. Well, because of technology and access to capital now, that's come down to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the individual investor now, they can access real estate in a lot of different ways, through real estate investment trusts, through ETFs, mutual funds. But there's a lot of people who actually want more direct control and invest in rental properties or commercial properties and stuff like that. So that's where your expertise comes into play. So when I'm visiting with a client, and all they currently have is stocks, bonds, and cash, I'm going to educate them of why they need to incorporate real estate, which is a alternative asset class, not highly tied to the stock market. It's a hard asset you can touch, okay? And when inflation increases, hard assets increase as well.
Of course.
You know, so a lot of people will say to me, well, what about what happened in 2008 with the real estate market? Well, that's a 1 in 40 year opportunity that came. And actually those people who had cash on the sidelines, like a big institutions like Blackstone, what did? They came into the Tampa Bay area.
You brought up a good point, actually, to tell you more about that, to elaborate more on that. I have investors that bought right before 2008, and they got hurt a little bit, but right after the market turned around, they were fine. I mean, because it was all about how they set up that asset. Was the proper lending in place?
Right.
Was there lending that was little by little consuming that debt, where it was, the debt, in other words, going lower? And I have investors that didn't miss a bit. They were doing just fine. But it's just a matter of back to what I was telling you. There's a lot of people that go into lending and not knowing exactly what they're doing. Taking these arms, taking a risk, not understanding the risk of the history of interest rates.
That's right.
This is cyclical.
And where we are,
because if you talk to a financial advisor, they might have said to you, listen, don't do that 3-year arm in 2006. Don't do that 2-year arm. You should do a minimum of 10. And let me explain to you why.
Right.
This gets done when you're selling securities and stocks.
Right.
You present prospectus to potential investors and you say, here's the history.
Right.
That's the problem with real estate.
That's right.
You don't get that.
That's right.
I mean, we provide this to clients, but
I know you do.
regular people start investing in real estate and don't understand the cycles of real estate.
That's right. Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I totally agree, and that's why it's important to have a team of people, experts like yourself and myself, working with the client together. So we don't expose them to having too much in real estate or too much in stocks or bonds. It needs to be an integrated effort for the client. The nice thing about when we're working together that your clients need to be aware of is that, I've been doing what I do for 30 years, and we are a financial planning driven company, meaning that before we have an investor invest 1 penny of their money, they've got to go through our financial planning process, okay? So what does that mean? That means we evaluate where they are now, we give them clarity where they are now, but more importantly, we give them a roadmap to how to get to where they want to get to, which is probably retirement. And we are a big believer in real estate, as I mentioned, because it's a diversifier away from the stock market. The stock market, as you probably know, just reached all-time highs. So, what you mentioned before is in cycles. Well, the stock market goes in cycles as well.
Absolutely.
We've been on a 10-year bull market in the stock market. So I'm a big numbers person, lower probability. What's the probability that we're going to have the same run in the stock market in the next 10 years versus the last? It's low. It's probably, we're going to have a downturn in the stock market. I don't know exactly when, I don't have a crystal ball, but it's going to happen. So when that happens, the real estate portfolio, guess what? Is going to be like the foundation of your portfolio. Can it go down? Sure.
Absolutely, but what happens is they go in opposite
directions.
Opposite directions. Typically,
that's right.
when I see a wave of new investors coming in, it's because they're like concerned with the market.
Right.
Concerned with the stock market.
Yeah.
Just like you said, 10 years, it's already been 10 years, 12 years, whatever the case may be. The cycle is telling me that I have to move into real estate, a portion of it into real estate.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So the people that didn't diversify within real estate early on, now they're going to find the same properties a lot more expensive because now everybody.
That's right.
Now everybody's following the money.
So all supply and demand. Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. So I'm very passionate about this topic because I see it in my kids. My son, he's 23 years old. My daughter is 20. And they're financially clueless.
Yeah.
Financially.
Well, you're right. There's a big problem with financial literacy in this country, and that's because it's not taught It's not taught.
And probably,
It's like on-the-job training.
and Tony, there's probably a
Scary.
big chance that they'll buy a home in the next year or two on their
Yes.
own.
Yeah.
So, don't know anything about finances,
Mhm.
but there's probably a big chance
Right.
that they'll buy they'll make
Investments.
the biggest investment in the world
Sure.
without having any clue
That's right.
how the numbers work.
Is this the right time?
How do I do it? Do I do a 10-year, 20 years? What is my
Right.
personal situation financially right now?
Right.
And this is what's happening over and over again.
Right.
One of the reasons why people got in trouble in 2006, 7 is because they went crazy. They got the wrong type of loans, the wrong type of maturities.
And you have people who are buying houses who really should not have been buying houses.
People that
Yeah.
they were buying houses that shouldn't be buying houses.
Yeah.
So it's the core problem is the lack of education early on, right?
Yeah.
They're pushed into this American dream, get a house when you're in your early 20s,
Mhm.
but they don't explain to you how to balance a checkbook.
That's right. It's true.
Boom, I'm
Very-
done.
very-
Drop the mic.
Very
But
true.
does that make sense?
No, you're absolutely correct.
Even my kids right now, they don't even know what a check,
Yeah. Well,
they're so spoiled with technology and stuff like that.
That's why I'm a big believer in client education. Not only telling the client what I think you should be doing. I met with a client yesterday. He met with another financial advisor 2 weeks ago. Was not happy what he was hearing. He's a former client of mine. He found me on the internet so that I started my own firm. So I met with him, and I had looked like his whole situation. But what I explained to him was not only what I thought he should be doing, but the why behind it. People don't want to just be told what to do. They want to understand what's in it for me. How, why is this important to me? And every client's different. So what we do at Wealth Advisors Who Care is we provide a client this financial plan that we keep talking about for free. Okay? Well, why do we do it for free? Well, a lot of our competitors charge for a financial plan, hundreds or $1,000s. But we do it because we want to make sure that the client understands their current situation. We earn their trust, and they know, because we're fiduciaries, that we're doing what's in their best interest. Okay? That at that time, they then decide whether or not they want to hire us or not. Okay? But they've gotten, even if they don't hire us, okay, they've gotten clarity where they are now. Now, if they want help in implementing the plan, that's where we come into play. But like I said before, if I'm meeting with a client and all I see is they have stocks, or they all have bonds, or just everything in cash, that's not the answer. To have all your eggs in one basket is not the answer. You need to have the appropriate amount in each asset class. But also, if they don't have any current real estate, I'll ask them why. Besides your primary home. Here's the reason why you need to be adding real estate to your portfolio.
Absolutely.
Because it's a diversifier. Okay? And so then we talk about the different ways to get involved with real estate, whether it's through mutual fund, ETF, some stocks, or if they say, I want to actually have direct control over my real estate. I'll say, okay, that's fine. You can do that. I have a business partner, a relationship with Graystone. The reason why I'm recommending them is because they have the expertise, just like I have the expertise in what I do. They have the expertise in identifying the right property for you, identifying how much you can afford to purchase a home. So that's why working with a financial advisor and someone like yourself, or your company, I should say, is a winning combination for the client.
Absolutely.
Really
We haven't even thought about legacy stuff,
Sure.
because you could build up so much wealth with real estate, but how are you going to pass it on?
That's correct.
And
Right.
you have to think about, we think we're immortal, right?
Yeah.
But really, in reality, I could die tomorrow, and I leave.
That's right.
If I didn't sat down with Tony and set everything up, it will be a chaos.
Well,
between my kids.
if
and
you
stuff
think
like
about
that.
it, let's say a client does have the primary home, they have a mortgage on it. And
A
they,
will. Most people don't even have a will. Even if that's
That's
simple.
right. That's
even
right.
If that's simple,
well, they're right. Well, they have a primary home with a mortgage. They have a couple of rental properties, let's say, with a mortgage. Okay. What if if you are the primary breadwinner, that could be the husband or the wife, what if they die tomorrow? Guess what? Those mortgages still on the property. And guess what? The main breadwinner now is not there. So what's going to happen? They're probably going to have to sell those properties, and you better hope that
give them away pretty much.
Yeah, you better hope you're in a good real estate market. If you're not, you're going to be either foreclosing on these homes, short selling these homes. Well, that doesn't have to happen.
Yeah.
You put into place the proper amount of life insurance, and guess what? Those mortgages are paid off, tax free,
Right.
and that legacy continues now. But without working with a financial advisor to point out these potential problems, or I call them the what ifs in life.
Mm-hmm.
Put a plan in for the what ifs. Or what if I pass away prematurely? What if I become incapacitated?
Mm-hmm.
I can't work anymore. Okay. What if, as I get older, I have a long-term care need? I got to be put into a facility. Do I have the funds to do that? I'm the same couple that I talked about yesterday, right? Whenever I meet with a client that's retired or getting ready to retire, I talk about that. You know, they might have a bunch of money, but do they really understand the financial impact of a long-term care event? I mean, it can cost.
The most expensive thing in the world.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, I call it the curveball in retirement, or the knuckleball.
Yeah.
You know, it could it can totally change your lifestyle, because now you have to support somebody who's in a in a facility or getting home health care. It can cost $4,000 to $9,000 a month, and the average stay is 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
They either recover or they pass away.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, it could be $300,000 that now that you had set aside for retirement, now it's got to support this person. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's ways that you can transfer that risk. That's a risk from yourself to an insurance company.
And you can use a little bit of real estate to help you out with that.
Exactly.
Either through rent.
If you're getting cash flow,
yeah.
if you're getting cash
Get
flow,
a tiny portfolio that
Correct.
can provide you
that can
the
support
cash
that.
flow to pay,
Absolutely.
or at least to supplement the payment on that you need to make on the.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Or even take the cash flow, some of the cash flow you're getting from your rental properties, and guess what? And purchase an insurance policy that has a long-term care
course.
budget on it.
Of course.
You're building up cash flow. So you're accomplishing multiple goals with real estate, not just appreciation and getting cash flow.
Absolutely. Well, I don't want to make the video too long. I don't
It's
think
okay.
you do either.
No problem.
So we're gonna wrap it up with, guys, please educate yourself as much as possible. The good news and the bad news is that people are living longer than ever.
Yes.
My grandma just got married, 90 years old.
God bless it.
She just got remarried.
God bless it.
And I'm telling you, I don't know when she's gonna stop. I'm thinking 110, 120 for her.
Well, my grandmother she passed on now, but she lived to 103.
103.
And she passed away.
Wow.
She passed away in the early 90s. She was 103 then.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have some good genes.
So we're living longer, guys.
Yeah.
This idea of retiring at 50 or 60 or 70 is you really have to do the numbers.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Even with $1 million nowadays, it's nothing. It's
Yeah.
peanuts.
Yeah.
You can't even retire. I would say the minimum is probably a couple of $1 million, 2.5, 3 million before you can.
Depends on your lifestyle.
Depends
on your lifestyle.
if you have some real estate too and
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like that.
true. That's true.
But,
But what you got to think about though is you really, when you retire, whether it's 65 or whatever, you're looking at, depending on your health, you're looking at being on unemployment for 25 to 30 years. Yeah, that's what you got to think about.
And you get nothing from Social Security.
Well, you get
A
some.
little bit.
You get some, but it should not be. If you're relying on
Listen,
Social
my
Security,
father worked 50 years non-stop,
right?
like 70 hours a week, and he's getting $2,000 a month from Social Security.
Yeah.
It's better than
Yeah,
nothing,
getting nothing. Yeah.
but it's not even close.
No,
He
and
was-
what are you going to need?
Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
gonna need.
That's right.
All right, guys, want to wrap it up once again. This is Jorge with Graystone Investment Group, and I'm my partner Tony with Wealth Advisors Who Care. Anything else, Tony? You want to say?
No, it was a great opportunity to talk to you and your clients, and just give us a call. We'll be glad to give you a complimentary financial
What
plan.
is your phone number?
Phone number is 727-230-3800.
Guys, start early with your kids as well. I'm very passionate because I have 3 about that. getting to understand. Maybe have your kids meet up with a financial advisor.
Yep.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Not bad. Not bad.
So thank you again, guys. This is Jorge with Graystone Investment Group. Have a nice day, and thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.